for emailing so much.
Yeah.
How is everybody today? I guess I'll just start with that.
Doing good.
Good.
Yeah, had some standard breakfast. Just researching a bit of copyright issues with our
Nice.
live stream. Even though we own the music,
Yeah.
live streaming the music has restrictions.
Huh.
So that's
Interesting.
my morning.
Sounds
Oh, yeah.
very exciting.
Yeah, copyright law.
Oh, sounds confusing.
And I was and I've been driving around Tucson delivering all the vinyls that we sold on Friday
Oh, cool.
to
That's
the
fun.
people who live in Tucson.
So I guess
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I didn't want to cut anybody
No,
off.
go ahead.
I guess I'll start off though with I wanted to have sort of an introduction / icebreaker. So if you guys could tell the viewers what your names are, what you play, and your favorite activity to pass the time during quarantine.
Okay. Mike, go first. Go for it.
Okay, my name is Mike. I play guitar and I sing for the band. And then probably my favorite quarantine activity has been I've gotten back into skateboarding.
That's cool.
I used to skateboard when I was a lot younger, and then I just after my stimulus money came in, I got a new skateboard and started doing that again.
That sounds fun.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, my name's Prabjeet. Go by Prab. I play bass and sing vocals in the band. And I've just joined Mike in skateboarding, getting back into what I used to do, and now I've got to buy a board. Also been kicking around the football once a week with a couple of friends, which, right, that's easy to maintain a big distance and kick around.
Yeah, that's definitely good.
But oddly enough, I've also, for some reason, I've started watching everything about car reviews and car repair on YouTube, probably for the last 6 months.
Interesting.
Even though you don't own a car.
Yeah, I don't own a car. And I grew up working on cars. We would change a clutch plate or change brakes or whatnot, my dad and I. And yeah, the cars have a big part to play in our lives, except in the pandemic, I'm not driving at all.
I guess it's sort of just reminiscing about the good old days of going places.
Someday I'm gonna have some sort of Toyota 4Runner, or I'm gonna have the Toyota Yaris GR, or I'm gonna,
It's a distant dream.
Yeah.
Someday.
But yeah, I mean, cars are either toys or tools.
Not both, or
Well, they could be both, but it's a money pit either way.
true.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm Tom. I play guitar in the band, and I don't know, since quarantine, I've been doing a lot of biking and hiking as much as I can, and I also bought some more gear. I've always only had an electric guitar before, but since then I bought a bass and a cheap synthesizer that I've been trying to mess around with and learn how to play.
That's cool.
And then some actual decent setup to record stuff from my home. So been doing that mostly.
Cool. I keep meaning to buy a new pedal, but
Oh, and
I
I got
forget.
4.
Excuse me?
Nice. Oh, I was gonna add, I also got 4 chickens since last
Oh my
night.
god, that's awesome.
Which has been fun.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
we've
so me and my
jokingly said,
roommate-
oh, Farmer Tom.
Me and my roommate, we got a chicken coop in the back, and they started laying eggs a few months ago.
That's awesome. I should do
That's
that.
been
I
fun
need
too.
I love chickens. So I guess we'll get right into it with the musical stuff. So tell me about this new album. I really liked it. It's very good, and I always am happy to find new music during quarantine. And so just like tell me about like what the like journey was of creating this album, especially with like all the craziness that's happened in the past year. Like what was that like, and
Yeah.
all came together in the end?
Well, surprisingly, the last year, like the pandemic and everything, hasn't played a huge role because we had everything finished before that, believe it or not. Like we wrapped up recording and mixing like in last December. So we were just getting the news that like Wuhan, the city of Wuhan, China was closing down. And we're just like, you know, in the United States, we're just like, like they're just closing shit down. And in China, like it'll never make it here. And then like 3 months later, everything is closed.
Yeah.
So we were done by then. It started off with, do you remember the venue Flycatcher?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been there, but I've seen it downtown.
Yeah, they closed a while ago, but so like the sound guy there, who's our friend Frank, after one of our shows that he did sound for, he told us that he was opening up like a studio and asked us if we wanted to record. And we had like a few songs ready to go. And this is like 4 years ago. And so we were like, yeah, that sounds great. Like you know, you always make us sound really good. Let's do it. And so the first 2 albums prior to that, we just did everything ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so just like bedroom recordings, like just recording guitars straight into our computers and recording drums the best we could. So the idea of working with somebody closely, like in a studio, sounded like a cool step up to make things sound better. And so we recorded with him for a while at 2 different spots. One of the first studio closed down, and then he went over to a different place, and we recorded more of the songs there. And so that whole recording process was pretty spread out. And then once those recordings were done, then we brought what we had home and started adding more and more layers at home, like re-recording guitar parts. And that just like went down the rabbit hole of all of that, and that took forever. And then the whole mixing process took a really long time because it's like we all have day jobs, so it's kind of like we're doing it as much as we can, but it's not like a 9 to 5
full-time
like
thing.
doing it. Yeah, recording every single day. It might have been a lot faster. And then a lot of the songs also, it'll be like the song will be written, but then we learn it as a group. And then once the group is playing it, the song will like evolve more, and like certain sections will, you know, expand or change, or like
Right.
some like Prob will like change his bass part, or Tom will change his guitar part or whatever. And then we have to like either re-record stuff or like re-record the whole song or however we want to do it. So then we finished everything up by the end of the year in 2019 and started like looking for labels that wanted to release it. And then just randomly we got a Facebook message from Salty Dog Records from Australia asking if we had like any copies left over of like an old lathe cut that we did. And I just like did like a little sleuthing, just like, who is this guy? And saw that he worked for a record label down there. And so I was immediately just like, oh yeah, definitely give him the album for free. So I just sent him the whole album. I was like, check this new one out. And so he immediately wanted to put it out, which is really lucky. We were just waiting for that opportunity basically to pop up. Because that was like well into the pandemic by then, so we were planning on just waiting the whole thing out and just being like, we're probably gonna sit on these recordings for like probably more than a year, a whole another year after it's finished. But luckily we didn't have to.
Right. That's really cool. I mean, that's such a. I wonder how like someone from Australia has sort of like picked up on your guys' stuff in Tucson. That's awesome though.
Yeah, he taps into a lot of American bands, it seems like.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So do you think like in terms of like challenges the pandemic has prevented, has like the lack of live performance, has that maybe been like the biggest thing? Because I know that probably makes it hard to like get like attention for new stuff you're putting out, I'd imagine.
Oh,
But maybe us, the world being the way it is now, we had to put fingers on our keyboards and meet up every night via Zoom and sort of put in the legwork to spread the music.
yeah. I
Yeah,
think yeah, the online presence is more powerful now than playing live shows. I
interesting.
think it's definitely gotten to that point.
Yeah.
Um, like we played South by Southwest,
Yeah,
and
I read about that. That's awesome.
yeah, and you'd think like, oh, this is like a great promotional opportunity. It's really not. You're just buried by like hundreds of other bands that are also playing,
Mhm.
and you see your name in the newspaper, and it's just like you're one of like 1,000 bands, and you're just like, well, I guess we can hang out with some other bands that might be cool. Like the only opportunity is like just being able to talk to other bands and artists and stuff.
Make
But
connections.
yeah, as far as like a label approaching you and being like, I want to put out your next record, like
That
doesn't
doesn't
seem
really
like that.
happen through.
Yeah.
Interesting. So
Yeah. It's too
pandemic can
much.
kind of be like a blessing and a curse in some ways in terms of that, or
Right. Like, yeah, being forced to
Yeah.
like focus more on your online presence,
yeah,
maybe. Yeah.
The live
makes
shows
sense.
always kind of seem to be a distraction from working on new material too, a lot of the time.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
true.
Yeah. Because we used to have to turn down shows all the time. Like either because we just had too many other shows going on or because like we wanted to give a buffer to like be able to work on new material, because when you're preparing for a show you can't really like work on new songs.
Yeah, I just have to rehearse a lot.
Yeah.
Play the old songs over and over.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I know.
We're
Yeah.
planning on like once the pandemic like loosens up and we can play shows again, to play like 100% new set, like all
Ooh,
new songs that like,
interesting. That's cool.
yeah. Because we've been writing a lot of new stuff, and we before the pandemic we just played those songs so many times that it
And
was
it's
it
just
got really
boring at
old.
this point.
Yeah. But although we'll probably have to play a bunch of them from this new album, just to like acknowledge that the new
Acknowledge
album's
They
the
good.
stuff
exist.
we,
Yeah.
yeah, songs that are already 2 or 3 years old now.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah. So in terms of your guys' influence, what do you think the biggest things what are the biggest things like inspire your songwriting? Not even necessarily in terms of like other bands that inspire you, but just like concepts and like parts of your experience and living in the world and like non-musical influences on your creating.
Yeah. Well, speaking for myself, meditation is a huge inspiration. A lot of the lyrics are about that kind of stuff, meditation and like non-duality, especially on this album. But then there's other like social issues that we get into. I'm not sure about other influences on the music itself. That's kind of just like influencing the lyrics. But maybe, well, actually, I don't know. Like the genre of like dream pop, I would say is like very much like having to do with, dream states and like altered states. So that definitely like the whole psychedelic influence.
Yeah,
Um,
I can see that tying into meditation and stuff like that.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's an altered state. And I don't know.
Yeah, for me, it's the music really makes me think of like a moment of clarity, and I do get inspired by certain like scenes in movies, or even when I'm thinking in my daily life, and there's like a moment where things are crystal clear, uh, sort of like free of noise, even though we use a little bit of noise
Yeah.
and distortion and fuzz. Um, this group, it just feels like we're making bits of clarity in these songs, and it's like a ride that's easy to ride on.
Yeah, I kind of get that vibe from the music for sure. Tom, do you have anything
Yeah.
to add? Or?
That's a good question. Mine's probably more like musical influence. I can't think of anything non-musical really inspires.
The chickens.
The chicken.
Yeah, the chickens waking me
Chickens
up
are
at 5:30 in the morning, screeching and screaming in my backyard. I
You
try
can
to
talk
channel
about
that.
you can talk about musical influence too if you want. Like that'd be interesting to
Yeah,
hear.
I mean, what I was thinking, I mean, I don't come up with any lyrics. Really, mine's all just music, stuff I come up with. So like, I don't know, I kind of work with, I have like, usually just come up with loops at home, and I do have a lot of pedals, but they're really like the most basic ones, like no boutique or fancy ones.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like when I'm coming up with new things, like working within those limits, like just combining random pedals other than having like really nice ones, experimenting with that is usually where I come up with like a lot of like loops or song ideas that I'll end up recording. But yeah,
Cool. Yeah, I feel like
and
sometimes
sometimes
having
I'll play it with like, I'll just be playing with like a movie. I was just gonna say, sometimes I will like play at home just like a movie playing in the background, just on mute, and just
like get the vibes.
handle that, I guess.
Yeah, Tom, part of the VHS collection.
Yeah, I noticed you have this sort of vintage little TV over there. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes working with like, I guess, like not as fancy gear can sort of lead to more unique sounds. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
And then you guys might get asked this a lot, but like, how did you all get into music, and how did you all meet and decide to start playing together?
Well, the way that we got together, I moved to Tucson about 10 years ago, and then I started playing music when I was really young. But I started trying to get into like the music circle of people in Tucson right away.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a couple bands going early on, and then somehow I bumped into Prabjeet in the music circle of people, and so I think he had. Oh yeah, no, actually, Tom and Prab had a different band together, and I liked what they were doing, so I just tried to convince them to just like combine the bands that we had, and so that's where Mute Swan came from. It was like I took a member of one of the old bands that I was with, and then just combined it with them, with their band, and and we tried to like have like a deliberate conceptual like game plan for the whole project. It wasn't just like, let's set up our amps and our guitars and just like see what happens.
Right.
Maybe it'll sound good, maybe not. It was more like sitting down and just being like, let's try to get it to sound like this. Let's like spend a year like working on these songs. The first project that we did actually was we each picked a band that we liked. So there was 4 of us, right? So we each picked a band that we liked and a song, a specific song, and we brought it into the band and we learned it. We all learned it as a band. So I forget what song I picked. I feel like it was
I think you did Black Moth.
Black Moth Super Rainbow. Roger did a post-rock song, Maserati, I think.
Yeah.
And then there was a Black Angels.
Who picked that?
Song.
Is that you, Tom, or me?
No, that was yours.
Yeah. Oh, you picked the Unknown Mortal Orchestra.
Oh yeah.
Song.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And so that was like, what?
Oh, I just said I don't think I've heard any of those, so I'll need to check them out.
Oh, cool. yeah, so it was like also a test to see how well that like we played together,
Right.
and to see if it was
Yeah.
worth like investing
Yeah.
more
Can we put
time
up with each
into.
other?
But then it was also just like what ingredients we wanted to each bring into the thing, you know what I mean? Because then from then on, any song that was written, it's just like I know what those guys kind of want to bring to the table, and so then we can work from there. All the songs are just like we know what styles are kind of in there.
Right.
But since then, we've like diverged towards different styles. Like the shoegaze and like the dream pop stuff came a little bit later, where we started listening to that and writing stuff that sounded more like that.
And we
Cool.
recently revisited this idea of playing songs like our influences. When did we do that? Was that almost a year ago that we started?
No,
It was
that was a pandemic thing.
like April, May.
Yeah, last
Basically,
spring.
yeah, since we couldn't rehearse or hang out last spring, summer, we decided to take a couple of weeks and write demos based on bands that we liked. And so I don't know how many bands we did, maybe 5 different bands. It ended up being like, 4 or 5 months of writing demos and sort of laughing at my take on Stereolab or something like that. And but from that we have, dozens of song ideas that we're going to get started on right after this interview.
Oh, cool. Awesome. Yeah, I think that's cool to like have like a nice like plan for what you want to do conceptually. What were some of the bands that you like decided on this most recent time you had that discussion, if you remember?
What were they, Tom?
We did Stereolab, Cocktail Twins. I think
Black
we did
Monster
2.
Rainbow.
Yeah, we did 2 My Bloody Valentine sessions.
Nice. Classic.
Yeah. There was
what
what
else?
was the other one?
Dang.
Was it? I don't know. Yeah, I can't remember the other one
Yeah.
we did. Oh, we did a Black Moth Super Rainbow
Oh,
round.
yeah. There was another
Yeah,
one.
which
that
was
we're
fun.
forgetting.
That one was tricky because Black Moth Super Rainbow uses a lot of synthesizers, so it was like, but we like consciously try to avoid keyboards,
Mhm.
but we can make our guitars sound like keyboards,
Yes.
which is the trick. And
you're trying to, like,
sometimes we do
translate.
it on purpose, and sometimes it's by accident. Like I've heard people go up to Tom after shows and just be like, "How are you playing that synth part?" And he's just like, "I have no idea what you're talking about."
That's funny.
Yeah.
It's just a combination of like fuzz and chorus and whatever modulation.
Yeah.
Vibrato.
You can do weird stuff with
Yeah.
pedals. It's true. Also,
Yeah.
sorry about this weird
Yeah.
lighting I have going on. I know that looks strange. I don't know what's going on there.
It's kind of cool.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
thank you.
it's crazy.
I guess it's like the sun is coming through my shades and making this happen.
Yeah.
Dream pop.
Yeah, very dream pop appropriate, I think. So y'all are obviously a local Tucson band. What are your guys' favorite places in Tucson, either venues or just like places to hang out and have fun?
Owl's Club is a recent cool spot. I mean, like when stuff was still open.
Yeah.
Owl's Club was like a spot that we really liked. It doesn't sound very good in there. Like they don't have any sound treatment. It's an old funeral home.
Oh my gosh,
They
that's funny.
They converted it into a bar. Yeah. Are you
That's
21 yet?
No, I'm 20. I'm close.
Yeah, so it's like a converted funeral home into a bar, so it's like very like cavernous. So like when a drum set is playing, it just like reverberates all and it just sounds ridiculous, but it's such a cool
loud.
place to hang out because it's just like dark wood and it's like nice and like cozy, and there's like little booths and stuff, and And it's also like right kind of downtown, but like offset a tiny bit. So it's doesn't have like the complete like wacky 4th Ave vibe.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Like drunk people stumbling. It's like set off a little bit.
A little less chaotic.
Yeah. And then we're friends with the guy that manages it. So he lets us play there pretty much whenever we want. It's just the compromise is just that it sounds really bad.
Yeah.
They have like no PA or sound guy.
Yeah.
But
well, it's a trade-off.
Yeah, exactly.
There are times where we do our band business at a burrito shop,
Nice.
taco shop, like
taco shop. Yeah.
Tanya's 33.
Tanya's, yeah.
La
Fresita.
Aiko's, we could just name all the spots.
Los Betos.
Good one.
Yeah.
Taqueria Juanitos on Grant is really good too.
There we go.
I actually still haven't even been there. That's
Really
the purple place, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dang.
But obviously we also like like Club Congress and the more standard downtown places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those places are cool.
Yeah.
Wooden
Shay's
Tooth Records.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Wooden Tooth, Shay's Lounge.
I like Wooden Tooth. I haven't been to a show at Wooden Tooth yet, but I like going in there, and it's a good vibe.
Yeah, I think the last show I saw before the pandemic, I think, was at Wooden Tooth.
Oh, I think my last show was at Tool.
Nice.
Oh,
yeah, that
yeah.
place is cool.
Yeah, I miss that place a lot.
We played there before it was 191 Tool. It was called something else.
Huh.
Scrappy.
Was it called Scrappy's? Yeah, it was. It was still like kind of DIY thing. But also we want to try and set something up at Groundworks eventually. Do you know about that place?
Yeah, I've heard about it. It sounds like it's gonna be a really cool thing. It's a shame that it got I feel like it was like just about to open and then COVID hit. So
yeah, like the perfectly wrong timing to open the venue.
Yeah.
But it sounds like they're gonna be able to hold it down, and like a lot of venues in Tucson have like a quick turnover rate because they can't keep up with the expenses because like it's a very narrow profit margin for venues and stuff. It's like most of the money comes from selling alcohol, like not actual shows, like tickets or anything. So venues will like come and then they realize that they can't make any money and they close down, and it happens over and over. But I think Groundworks should stick around for a little while because they have a lot of grants, and it's like all ages too, so you get that whole demographic. And
they got their nonprofit status.
True.
And hopefully they're in a spot that's not as expensive.
Yeah. Hopefully,
venues.
hopefully they can make it work because it sounds like they're a very cool organization.
Yeah, and we're friends with Logan Green too, so hopefully he'll help us out with some shows.
We put that song on that release they did.
Oh yeah.
Oh right, there was like a compilation thing, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that was like a very rare track that probably would have never seen the light of day.
Well, I'll have to go listen to that.
Yeah, it's just like an instrumental like jam that we did that we were gonna put it on this album actually, and then decided that it didn't really fit.
Well, at least it got to be released then. That's cool.
Yeah.
So I have one last question for you guys. If quarantine were over tomorrow and you could go to see any concert with any artist you wanted, what would that be?
Whoa. I know what my answer would be.
What is it?
I would want to see My Bloody Valentine at the Rialto with Stereolab opening.
Nice. That's a good choice.
With us as the local opener.
Oh, nice. Yeah, amazing.
Gosh, and we were Stereo Lab was where were they gonna play? Were they gonna play the Rialto?
I think Rialto, yeah.
Yeah, and we were gonna try really hard to get that opening slot.
Ooh, that would have been
Yeah,
good.
emails were going
Yeah.
back and forth, and they're like, "Oh no, the world's closed." All right.
The world's canceled.
Yeah, I haven't seen My Bloody Valentine yet. That I was gonna see Tame Impala like when a year ago. That hasn't come to pass yet. It would be nice to see them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You?
I've seen them.
Yeah, I still haven't seen them yet either. So that probably would have been my answer, but
Yeah. His pedal board is absurd. It's like a spaceship.
yeah.
Oh my
He's
god.
has like Tom's pedal board is like, normal size. And then he has
Yeah.
that like times 3
Oh my
or
gosh.
4, 3 or 4 of those all around.
I feel like I would just lose track. Like I would forget which one's which if I had that.
I feel like he has a lot of
Yeah.
like duplicates of stuff, like because but from song to song, he's not bending down and like changing his settings
Right.
at all. It's like he's like, I'm gonna use this pedal with these settings for this song, and then the same pedal with different settings on a different
Okay.
song, so he doesn't have to like fiddle around with anything.
It does make it a lot more convenient, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people can tell that Kevin Parker's music has changed a lot in the last decade. So
Yeah.
he might he can probably perform with fewer pedals, or has the budget to have all the pedals backstage.
True.
And you can just use a switcher to switch between the pedals, or there are shows where you hire someone to do the changes for you.
Oh.
Like
It'd be so weird
I
though.
think Saint Vincent might have done
That's
that.
not fun.
Well, it's
really.
it's like if you're trying to do something theatrical, like the
Yeah,
album.
if he's
Then
too
it's
busy
very
like dancing around.
Well, no. If the number of changes you have to make to the sound are too many, too quickly, then I'd rather let a robot or someone who can synchronize the changes. But yeah, we would want to be playing shows. That's what we want.
Yeah, of course. Well, is there anything else you guys want to like tell to the world on this interview?
Well, we probably should just say that like if you haven't already bought the new album, it just came out on Friday, and
Yep.
it's on sale on KAMP in vinyl form and digital form, and we're gonna be probably repressing or like reprinting the CDs and tapes of the old albums as well in the next few of those First Friday. And if people aren't aware of the First Friday thing, the first Friday of every month, Bandcamp waives their fees on the artists. So normally like Bandcamp takes 15% of everything that you sell. So for like somebody buys a song for $1, you only get 75 cents.
Oh, right.
After Bandcamp
Yeah.
takes their thing. So Friday is the day, and I know that like even though they've been doing it for a year now, like a lot of people still don't know
That's
about
definitely good
that
to know.
First Friday thing.
Yeah.
But
Cool.
yeah,
Well,
give the album a listen, and if anyone has any pedal effect questions, message us. Yeah, Ruby, if you don't know, if you're like caught between two pedals, Tom and I are we know our sounds,
okay,
and Mike as well.
I will probably actually hit you up with that because I don't know what pedals are good and I need to know. So
Yeah,
I'll email you guys.
Yeah, usually Instagram's best.
Okay, cool. Good to know.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for meeting with me today. It's been fun. It's been nice to talk about music for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Of course. Hope you guys have a great day. I'm gonna
Right.
Yeah,
Stop
I'm
the
gonna
recording.
watch the Super
Bye.
Bowl
Bye, Camp
now.
Radio.
Later.
bye.
Bye.